Okay, we're going from this pile to that, to that. 1 day pottery wheel rebuild. I've had this pottery wheel for 4 years, not doing so hot. It's rotted. This color yellow ain't my fave. Hopefully we can make it look nicer, pass it on to someone else, record the plans in the meantime so that when I'm ready for another one, I can make another one. This thing's cool because it's essentially all cut from one piece of plywood. Trying not to spend a penny on this. I'd like to preserve that. We'll see. I got today to do this. One shot. He's cold, but on the surface he looks calm and ready to fix the pottery wheel. But he keeps on forgetting he's unemployed. The worst thing I ever did to this thing was cutting the pole in half to get it into the basement originally. This cut, not so smooth. This thing was never level after that. Cast your votes below. Black or blue? I'm leaning towards blue. Give it a little pizzazz, but... So here we go. I figured out really quickly that a lot of the parts that were held together by nails were just not worth trying to take apart. The piece of metal going through the middle of the weighted wheel at the bottom was kind of like a pressed fit. It was really difficult to get out, and I can only assume that bodes well for putting it back in. I spent probably a little too much time trying to sand all of this down because I was trying to make it as smooth as possible, figuring that I would eventually use my bare feet on it. And for some reason, I decided to then paint everything that would never be seen on the inside, including the bricks inside of the weighted wheel, black, just for fun. Looky there. Wowza. Try to keep this as smooth as possible because this is where the feet are going to be. The yellow was really good at soaking up every stain, everything that touched it, and it wouldn't let go of it. Gluing the wheel back together. A lot of blue going around. I elected to go with wood for the pole going through the center this time. Took quite a bit to pound that in. Not really sure if that was the best idea long term, but it was what I could source locally without having to look that hard. It's painted, it's strong. We'll see how it lasts. 1 day project. Day 2 starts tomorrow. We're like most of the way there, though. I don't want to talk about that yet. She's gonna be a beaut. You know you're doing something right if it takes you way longer than you thought it would. The only thing that I fundamentally redeveloped about this was the top bearing placement. The bracket, the piece of wood that was cut out initially was not very strong and was really unsightly, honestly, too. This situation is great. I was a little nervous about the wood, but it seems to be holding up just fine. That is a little too much rise and fall, though. The most amazing part of all of this is even with that, as horrible as it is, somehow the top is perfectly smooth. Ain't that funny? Spent quite a lot of time trying to level out the bottom piece, and again, it would probably just have been best to have the post into the base where all the weights are before tightening them down. You can also see there's a point here where I realized I should have put the front face on the wheel first because it made it a lot more square, which was a lot of the problem in trying to level it to begin with, is that the top bearing was not directly over top of the bottom one. It was probably smart to paint all of the pieces individually and then start piecing them together and add touch-ups at the end. It would have been really difficult to get into some of these corners, especially even at the size that it was at. So you can't even see any of the trouble that I went through. I decided to end up putting a decorative skirt on it and covering it anyway. Poor prep prepares for piss poor performance, poor preparation, whatever. There's supposed to be block-off plates on the back so the seat doesn't fall out. Bum, bum, bum. I ended up spending a day and a half disassembling and reassembling this, mostly just for the purpose of making the spine going all the way through it one piece again to try and eliminate all of the wobble in the wheel, which for the most part better now, but if I did it again, we would be going back to metal. There's a little more flex, a little more rigidity would probably go a long way. Watch me see if I can remember how to throw, and we'll see if this thing is any good after all of that effort. I don't know if doing it barefoot's a good idea or not. So smart. And away we go. There's gonna be air bubbles everywhere. I'm not throwing to fire, I'm just throwing to throw. So, and it'll be okay. So, oh my gosh. Let's do bed. Let's do bed. You know how I know that? Because he cut the bottom off. Hello? Hello? How not to do it. You just feel how lumpy it is, how off-center it is, all of the air that's trapped inside of it. Right there, yep. Oh, honey, your knots got knots. Palm it. Smooth like butter. Been left out for a couple days. Nice cottage cheese, perhaps. Lumpy, off-center, and ugly. Just how I like them. They're not kidding when they say use it or lose it. I'm getting the feeling it is gone. Here she is.
What's this?
An art project?
Ooh, I like it. Picasso. Yeah. Air bubble, air bubble, air bubble. There's probably some air trapped in there, that's why it's thicker. We'll just file that under TBD. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Watch out. Watch out, watch out, watch out. But what you could do, take the heavy side that's already leaning, build an arm right there, then you have a nice pottery spout pot type situation. Goodbye, cruel world. Clean up in aisle 12. Holy cow. Cripes all fried. Oh no, 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 no. Oh, it's soft. When people say, like, there's beauty inside your stretch marks, I think this is what they mean. Look at that. Ready? My cuppeth overflow. Thanks for joining me on this messy trip down memory lane. If you wouldn't mind cleaning up before you leave, that'd be super cool. I think this one's pretty good, so I'm just gonna take this and go. So, isn't that pretty